Greetings. Welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio. It's almost exactly noon over here in the west coast of the United States, and that means it's 3 p.m. over on the east coast of the United States. And it also means, though, it's almost 9 p.m. in Germany and other places overseas. So thank you so much for tuning in to the live stream here with Eclectic Arts. I'm Mark from Eclectic Arts, and I have been a part of the Alice virtual tour since May, and right now I've got some interviews that I'm still doing on my own, and I'm so thrilled that I get to do this particular interview today with folks that are from out of the country. And so let's kind of get to some things. As I mentioned earlier this morning, if you happen to catch my earlier live stream, that I will have another international live stream tomorrow, Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that is going to be part 2 of the Life is Easy web series. And we will have both creators this time. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And then at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Friday, we have the Fun Table Round 5. And I just sent out some information to my guests. So you'll be seeing some things about that on my socials really soon in terms of who's going to be joining me and everything else. So I'm hoping everybody out there is having a great Thursday or a great Thursday evening. And this has just been a pleasure getting a chance to talk to so many people from films that I've seen. And so in this particular case, I had reviewed this film, and through really pure luck, I ended up having the director like one of my posts about the film. And so we got to talking, and then here we are on Thursday getting ready to do this interview. We also have the lead actress as well. And yeah, let's kind of get to getting. So with my guest introduction. My guest today, reside in Germany. He is the director and she is the lead actress in a wonderful film called Ingenium. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Esther and Steffen. And that means I need to do this.
And we are live.
And we are live.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
How are both of you?
great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time. This is, like I mentioned pre-show, this is awesome to be here through the technology, being able to talk to both of you in Germany, and I'm here in Seattle, Washington, and it's different parts of the day and everything else. So, and like I mentioned during my show introduction, it's such a privilege for me when I get to review a film, and then it's almost surreal that a few weeks or months later, I'm talking to the people that made the film. So I can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty details of the film and everything revolving around it. So, but before we do that, I've done 47 interviews now virtually during this tour, and now I'm doing these on my own. And I'm just kind of curious. So, like being in Germany, in different parts of Germany, what has the pandemic been like for you guys over there during this whole timeline?
Actually, Esther has much more to do with the pandemic because I can work from home. So I can just stay away from everyone. I try to stay away from everyone for half a year now. But Esther is in touch with a lot more people.
Okay.
Kannst du mir ganz kurz Pandemic übersetzen?
Die Pandemie. Corona.
Oh, yeah!
Because you're in touch with so many people in Berlin.
Yeah, so because of my mini job, I'm a security girl in my mini job, so the pandemic is a horror. So all the people go their way and no, I don't do this. Go away. Yeah, it's horror. So in Berlin as well.
And the thing about Germans is it has not been severe. We had, because what we call lockdown was just a please stay at home as much as you can. Italy had a real lockdown. Spain had a real lockdown where you get sued or fined if they catch you on the street. But Germany hasn't. But everyone is complaining so much that half of maybe even 20 minutes of mask wearing a day is against the rights and is a violation of whatever. It's madness. Even though we haven't been hit hard, they just think.
Oh, so that's interesting because that sounds like here in, well, particularly in Washington State where I'm at, it's very much that we're supposed to be doing certain things. You're supposed to be wearing a mask. You're supposed to be socially distancing, and they've been saying that if you're caught not doing that, it's going to be more like a warning, an educational opportunity. They're not going to slap you with a fine, but they've already started to slap some businesses with fines that don't uphold those mandates. So it's starting to move that other direction where it's getting a little more scary around here in terms of everything. So that's interesting. And Esther, in your case, before we start talking about the film, I'm just kind of curious, can you tell people about your acting background?
My acting background. So I think it was in 2006. I had ended my acting school, and since then I shot many of short movies and horror movies. Yeah. So and I've also played a little bit theater.
Okay.
I was on stage. Yeah.
Nice. I review theater here, and I love horror films. So that
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I think, Esther, this is your first movie, your first lead in a feature that was shot in German, right? The other ones were always English, weren't they? All the horror movies were shot in English.
I think about it. Yeah, I think
I
so.
think so,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because for internationality, it was one director who did all those. He said, I wanna have the biggest exposure possible, so he shot them in English and made them look, well, they were shot in the Alps, like in southern Germany, and it looked like Canada in the end. So it all came together to use it like it was shot in the US. Yeah, and Esther has done lots of those.
Interesting. And Esther, what drew you to acting school? Why did you want to become an actor?
So that's the best question. I don't know, really. I don't know. So I was a child. I was always playing, and I think it's the only choice I had there to play.
Okay. So you were playing, and so you kind of just knew that you're going to be going to that particular area, which is going to be acting, where you can continue to play and use your imagination and be creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Esther's school was a theater school, which, well, people are like, yeah, what's the difference? How does it count? But once you have such a person acting in a green screen studio with nothing around, you instantly see the difference between theater trained and film trained. Because I have seen film actors who are like, what the hell is this? There's nothing here. How can I do it? And I'm like, yeah, that's a green screen. Of course, it's nothing here. And the theater guys, they're so much better at imagining things.
Yeah, it's important for this.
That's interesting. I mean, and that would, that does make sense to me because that the theater training is so different. And I think they have probably an easier time, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, going to film than film people going to the theater in terms of how that works on stage.
It's harder to go from the theater to the movie than from the movie to the theater. So we have different systems to work, and the bigger system is the theater work. So I think I say it in German, and Steffen has to translate it. Es ist wie Autofahren. It's like car driving. And kannst du das übersetzen dann?
Ja, sure.
Es ist wie wenn man vom Theater kommt, dann ist es wie Gangschaltung fahren. Mhm. Und wenn man vom Film kommt, ist es wie Automatik fahren. Und das ist
theater is like stick driving. It's like with all the with like the big manual work, and films like automatic. Yeah, so theater has the much more. There's much more to do, but that gives you like I think that's what you want to say. It gives you much more versatile this way.
No,
you can imagine things.
If you just learned the automatic car driving, it's you cannot play the theater thing. So you cannot drive with. You don't have the was heißt denn das Gangschaltung?
Stick.
Stick. You have the stick. Wie heißt das?
Cars, like stick shift.
Stick cars. Yeah. You don't have it in America, right?
if you learned on such a car, you can do both. But if you learn automatic, there's no way you drive a stick and survive on the first run.
That makes sense, that analogy. I mean, people in the U.S., they have their options of getting a stick / manual for their cars or having an automatic. And in my case, I have an automatic, so I'm kind of stuck with a certain way of doing things because I can't. If you put me in a manual, I won't know what to do. I don't know how to work a clutch. I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff. So I guess I'd be like a film person, I guess, and not a theater person. And then, Steffen, in your case, I know that you've been doing a lot of visual effects. You've been doing commercials. I watched some of those, the Cheeto ones I was watching, and a couple of things that you've done, and they look just amazing. So how did you get involved with this part of the entertainment industry?
Basically, it was the same like for Esther. I could not think of anything else. Back in the day when they shot Never Ending Story in Munich, in Germany, it was a international production, but it was done in Germany with international actors, and they had all these puppets there. And me wandering around those at the age of, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9, I was like, this is what I want to do. But I am so bad at anything manual. I can't do anything with my hands. I can't do puppets. I can't do clay animation. I can't do anything. But when computer techniques was far enough to do stuff, like when I was 14, 15, I knew this is what I want to be doing forever, like visual effects and filming and stuff. And basically, my movie to get into film school involved directing, which they didn't want to have because they want you to be a visual effects artist and not try to become a director. But they knew that I was aspiring to do directing as well, not only the computer side of things.
Okay, that's fascinating to me. That and so you've obviously seen how technology has evolved, being a visual effects artist, and when you watch the film, there's so many different things that are done so well, particularly like the cathedral scene and seeing the behind the scenes part of like all the composites you had to do and all the other kind of things you had to kind of make work and the green screen things. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I don't want to give away the movie premise to anybody out there that hasn't seen it, but let's kind of get at the beginning. Let's kind of go back then. Let's go to the beginning. Let's go back to 2012. And Esther, in your case, how did you get involved with the film?
Kannst du sagen?
So I am and I was Steffen's girlfriend. So that's the reason I think.
I wrote the part for her, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just a short film and a present for me for Christmas. Yeah, and Ingenium is the result.
Okay, and then Steffen, in your case, where did you come up with the idea to do this feature? Before you started filming. Yeah, so it was like one of those very busy years, and I knew we worked so good that around Christmas we wanted to take some time off, like 4 to 8 weeks, and I was like, awesome! The first time in years I'll be getting the chance to like travel or do anything else than just filming commercials or post-producing commercials, and I wanted to use this to shoot a short movie. So I said, Esther, we need to do this. I have 8 weeks off. Let's go somewhere else, somewhere abroad. And I thought of locations that I liked a lot when we did commercials there. And then because you might most likely run out of money faster if you're abroad. And then we go back to one of our big cities. Back then, Esther you were in Stuttgart as well. You didn't live in Berlin. Mm. So we said Berlin is the biggest city. It has the best visuals. Let's do it in Berlin. But the film basically was ending at the 20 minutes to 30 minutes mark. And it wasn't supposed to be a 90 minutes feature. And after we wrapped filming in Thailand, because that's what I eventually chose to use as a foreign location, I realized that it A, needs to be bigger and longer, otherwise it wouldn't work. And B, I realized that the story I had written wasn't the one I wanted to continue doing. Wow, that's a lot. And so here you are, and people talk about this all the time with film, that what they start with and what they end with are usually two different things. Yeah. And this is very much a clear case of that. And so can you take me back to when you were both there in Thailand in 2012,
filming the initial part of the film. What was that experience like, and working with a local crew over there and everything else?
It was
Esther?
amazing. Especially the boys from the stunt team. They were so great. It was an honor to work with them. It was a team from On Bak, the movies.
Mhm.
And the local team over there, they were so nice and friendly, and it was great. And it's another country, so it's a dream for every actress. So to work in another country, so it was hot.
Those guys are normally used to work in commercials because the company was a commercial production. So they're used to endless discussions between the director and the agency and the client, and 10 setups per day and nothing more. And we arrived there and we told them, okay, this is what we want to do. It's like 15 minutes of footage and we want to do it in 3 days. And they were like, what? You want to do all of this in 3 days? And we had a camera, some lenses. Back then we had a Sony FS700, which was a loan from Sony. Some lenses, 2 LED lights, and we rented a Kino Flow from local guys. So there wasn't even the need for a gaffer because we basically had no equipment that a gaffer would have been able to use. And we said, yeah, so we have almost no technical stuff to carry around. We just shoot from the hip. We move as fast as possible. So Esther and the Thai girl, her name is Jen, they improvised a lot. So they were walking on markets and down streets, and I was just steering them in directions, trying to grab shots. And the team basically ran around us and prevented us from being run over by a bus or by motorbikes or trikes or whatever was like tuk-tuks. It was kind of dangerous because we were so fluent in wherever we appeared.
Or German tourists.
Oh, German tourists. Yeah. There's a famous road, Khao San Road, which has all the restaurants, the Pussy Ping Pong, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's full of life. And they said we need a police officer, and I was like, yeah, what for? And they said, just wait, you'll see why. And they were right. There's so many tourists, British, Germans, that try to jump into the shot and like destroy the shots. So we really needed an officer to scare them away.
Yeah, and they heard that we are speaking German. So, oh wow, you're speaking German. You're from Germany. Yes. Oh, hello. So crash the shoot. So thank you.
Because by the time of nightfall on that road, every foreigner is drunk already. So that's
Yeah.
Oh man, that sounds crazy. I know I've only read about some films that were shot like in Hong Kong back in the day, and that they never shut anything down. So it's just people out doing their normal business, and if they see cameras and actors, they're kind of like, hey, they want to kind of get involved or ask questions. It's like, go away, we're trying to do some work here. You're screwing up our shot.
And the way Hangover portrayed Bangkok back in the day was totally accurate. Those pictures they had on the credit scene, I bet they were just done for real because this is how the city works.
Oh my gosh! So you mentioned that you were there trying to shoot and get every 50 minutes of footage in 3 days. Did you achieve that goal, or did you have to stay there longer, or what happened?
We did, I think. Yeah, we did. It's just that so much of the stuff didn't end up in the movie because we only could use these parts that we could kind of kind of turn to the new storyline that we developed afterwards. And there's lots of stuff that just had to be left on the cutting floor because there was no way to get it dubbed or to get it reshaped into the new storyline that came after.
Yeah.
So I think what we have is like 7 or 8 minutes of footage from Thailand, not more at the moment. Yeah.
Don't forget the travel around Thailand.
Of course, and the travel footage. If there's this intro song and the character Feli, that's Esther's character, is traveling, and of course to get stuff like this, you put it together. And it's like 3 minutes, and it's like, wow, look, a waterfall, an elephant, and the ocean, and this and that. But to get to all those locations, this takes time. So we traveled around for like 2 weeks to get all that.
Wow. all the things that filmmakers do to get certain shots to tell the story that we don't know the whole behind the scenes part. Like you just said, it took 2 weeks to get all this footage that may have taken all of a few minutes in the actual cut of the film. And as you both have been talking here, I've been thinking about, again, I'm trying not to have spoilers, but the concept of time plays a big role in this film. And and it also played a real big part in your lives behind the camera because of how long it took. I kind of made that correlation right now about, it's just interesting that what the concept in the film was. Here you are taking time in Thailand, and you're taking time, when you're back in Germany, and then this whole process of watching the storyline change. So what was the next big challenge? And there were several, but what was the next big challenge in terms of when you went back home to Germany, you've got this footage from Thailand, then what prompted you to change it into something else? Because it changed a few times during the process of making it.
So by the time we landed, I knew that the script, that everything that was coming after Thailand was for sure obsolete. It hadn't been rewritten yet, so we needed more time. And I knew we won't use it. But still, I had penciled actors. I had rented an apartment in Berlin for the next 4 weeks. And Christmas was coming, and I thought we would be halfway through the movie by the time of Christmas. And the DP was asked because like a friend DP / gaffer, because I knew I wouldn't want to continue like in Thailand where everything was on my shoulders, which definitely hurt the directing part a lot. So I had like, if you're pulling focus and if you're DPing and putting up lights, then you just can't focus properly on directing. So everything was in place, and the actors in Berlin were waiting. So I was like, okay, I can't send them home now. Let's do something. So we continued a little bit and basically used 2 of those shots that we did in freezing ice cold Berlin in the trailer. But nothing else from that footage was used at all through all the years. So we wasted basically a month just chilling in Berlin and sending Esther through the ice cold nights for nothing. We should have stopped it.
And Esther, your recollections were pretty much what Steffen just said, that you were basically freezing for a month.
I bet the whole time for a bigger jacket or something. So yeah, it was very cold.
You prayed for a jacket, yeah.
Yeah, prayed.
Yeah.
Wow. And Esther, in your case, when you started, getting yourself involved with Feli, your character in the film, and she goes through very many changes, as the film also went through many changes, as we're finding out behind the scenes. Was it hard to kind of, be shooting for a while and then having a break and then shooting again? And in some cases, a year later, you're back shooting some more. Was it hard for you to kind of keep perspective on the character?
No, I don't think so. So because the character Feli doesn't change a lot. So just the story has changed. So, and I continued with her to learn, to go deeper with her the whole time. But I think the biggest problem for me was the timeline. So the story changing, and where were we now? I don't know. Just do it. We do it. Yeah. But the character, I think, doesn't change for me.
Yeah. The emotional side of things, of course, sometimes we had to do it a little bit technical because it was cryptic, and the script at one point was confusing for everyone. But emotionally, the character was a bit vulnerable, and is that how you say it? Yeah, pronounce it. Yeah, in the beginning, a little bit uneasy with herself, and then just on the end of her character arc, she was kind of a hero. And just the more and more we worked on that new script, she just got stronger, and because these powers that were developed by her in the film became bigger than in any original script before. So she just got more powerful. And that was her arc, but basically Esther could rely on that because this is what we never touched and never changed.
Yeah, the basics were the same.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. And then Esther, in your case, when you're when you're shooting the cathedral scenes and the physical scenes, basically with yourself, to give a little bit of a spoiler away. Was that something you've done before when you have to do a green screen and go back and forth with yourself as an actress, or was that something brand new for you?
I did it before, I think twice. Green screen, yes, for a commercial one time. And I played two persons, me and two persons, one time before, yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't new for me, but it was bigger and harder. So this time.
Well, and watching some of that footage, it looks like it's physically exhausting. That you have to land on a mat, you got to climb up to do this thing, and maybe do several takes. Was it exhausting for you to do those kind of things, or was it fairly easy?
I think it was easier this time. There were times before in movies and feature films. It was so much harder. Yeah.
I was very demanding. I didn't give her a break because we were very short on time and only had, like, for example, booked that studio for 2 days to do lots and lots of stuff. The good thing is that the movies she did before, all those horror movies, were so much more physical. So that director had them run through the forest for days and days, and they had no access with cars or anything. This was my advantage, that I was not the evil guy because she had seen worse.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess that worked out in your favor in terms of what the other director put the actors through on that particular project or projects. Steffen, I know you said in the behind the scenes part that one phrase that kept coming up, at least in the subtitles, was "We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post." And so, can you speak to this for the fans out there that haven't had a chance to see the film? How much work did you have to do in post throughout this whole production?
Yeah, way too much. The thing is, if you are, let's say, a regular director, I would say a regular director should come from a writing or an acting background or anything like that. So he is very, in his mind, very close to how an actor feels, which I'm not. I would love to, because this is where Esther wants me to be a better director, where I should be. But that's just not where I come from. I come from the visual side. And that's why, for example, there's an action scene and Esther is dropping the phone because her character in the fight needs to drop the phone. And I'm like, we haven't prepared for this, because I never thought of it. Because that's something that I knew if it pops up, I could solve it somehow, because we're not dropping an iPhone from 1.50 meters, because it's not a spare phone. It's just one of our normal regular iPhones. So what a regular movie production would just do with a dummy, we had, because I hadn't planned for it, to do it with digital stuff. Or it's not a big spoiler, Esther in her character is finding a little box which was supposed to be sitting behind a radiator for years, for like 10 years. And the box that we got was brand new. It was shiny and brand new. And when we edited it together, I was like, something is wrong about this scene. It just didn't occur to me what was wrong until I realized this box is brand new. It doesn't look like it had been sitting there for forever. So we used artificial 3D simulations to put dust on that box. And when Esther does, she blows it off. We don't see it. We just use the sound. And then we have a dust simulation, so it circles off and falls on the ground, and all the kind of stuff. If you're a normal director, if you don't think of stuff like this, then you're screwed. But I just, the way the shooting from the hip way, the more I used this, the more I had to fix in post. Even stuff that would have been easy, because you just get some loose dirt and put it on top, and then when Esther gets it, then it's dusty. I just didn't think of all those things. And I would say someone coming from a different background would think and plan much more carefully, and from an emotional standpoint, because he knows if I have to fix stuff, it will cost me money, lots of money. And so it just cost me time and night shifts and weekends.
That's interesting. No, I think it's fascinating for people. I've interviewed some other guests that are independent filmmakers, and so they can probably relate to what you just talked about things you just don't think about until you actually do it. And think, oh, that's what's wrong with this. Now we got to fix it. So we'll try to be aware of that for the next film. But I think also that it's just again for fans, they see something, they watch it, and then 90 minutes later, 2 hours later, they're kind of like, oh, that was pretty good, and then they're just on to the next thing. They don't realize this was like 6 years of this process to get this product out. And I know when the film came out, you guys were a part of many film festivals around the world. I know you're down in LA for an appearance down there as well. So what was that original response like when you were doing the film festival circuit?
Esther, do you remember the girl in Greece? Can you tell that story?
What did she say? Mind fucked? Mind fucked. I'm just mind fucked. Thank you.
And that girl stumbled out of the movie, and she wasn't prepared to see Esther because only I had stood up before the movie and said a line or two. So she came out, and she was so, because of course it's tough for them. They had to read subtitles. We had English subtitles and underneath Greek subtitles. So there was lots of stuff to digest and read, and the pacing. If you have to read, the pacing is quite demanding. So she came out. She was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then she stood in front of Esther like, oh, you are the girl from Italy. Oh, whoa, I'm so mind fucked. Oh, thank you. I have to go home and think about it. And that was great. If people are really like in Brazil, for example, when we saw the crowd, lots of them were over 60. I was like, whoa, I'm not so sure if they like it. In Albania, the first row was taken by actors and actresses, which were all over 80 years old. And we have these moments with lots of gore and blood in the film. It's not really like a gory film, but I try not to cut away from blood. If there's blood, we show blood. And there's several jump scares in the film. And we thought they would get a heart attack, but they survived through it, and it was pretty nice. And the Brazil crowd was especially great because they were not like film geeks. They were regular moviegoers who just said, tonight, a German film. Awesome.
Yeah.
That story, I would agree with the mindfuck comment, because sometimes, just purely as a fan, when I watch a film and you kind of like, what's going on here? And then you kind of get that reveal or the twist or whatever, then you're kind of let down. You're like, oh, that doesn't quite work. But in this case, I still remember sitting on my couch watching the film, and when that whole kind of reveal happens, I was kind of like, huh? And then I had to think about it, and the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. It actually worked. And then it gave the film this whole other lift to it that made me think, oh, shit. So then I started thinking back to earlier scenes and everything else with the character, and also what you could do with this beyond. So, and I don't know if there's any talk of this, but have you considered doing any kind of sequel or spin-off or anything from Ingenium?
Esther would love to. I would love to. It's just an unfortunate time because the movie business is, of course, not as thriving as it was. We just hope. We for example, we showed it to one of the big 5 studios, the German branch, and they said they loved the film. They unfortunately were just working since a couple of years on similar stuff, which they invested a lot of money in, so they just can't go and buy Ingenium. Otherwise, they would have considered buying the rights. But we think there's the universe is so much bigger that you can much more stuff. So hopefully, when the film is out there, maybe there's an opportunity coming up.
Hopefully.
Because you would reprise the role easily, right, Esther? You haven't aged a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and I was also gonna ask that it seems like it's one of those type of films that it really could. Again, I understand what you're saying with the times that we're in right now and the state of the movie industry, that it could easily be a franchise. There could be a part 2, or part 3, because of the concept. The concept's wide enough that you could take it in all these different directions. And I hope at some point that there's the means to get together to make that sequel, because it's really deserving of it.
Yeah. We absolutely hope so. Yeah. It's just because even though I work in the industry, it's the commercial industry. It's not the movie industry, and they're totally separate. So there's no way I phone up someone and the next day I having a meeting at Netflix. So the only thing my contacts could give me is that email address. But as everyone knows, don't send anything to Netflix which they didn't ask for. It'll just go straight to the garbage bin. So yeah, you don't get feedback from the big guys and stuff like this. So maybe when the film is out there very soon.
Okay. And I wanted to ask both of you before we kind of wrap up the interview that, so in Esther, in your case, what kind of advice would you give a budding, new, young actress or actor?
Do your thing. Yeah, just doing and love your what you're doing and go for it. Yeah.
Sound advice. And then Steffen, what about in your case, since you come from the TV commercial side of things, but if someone wants to make a film, what kind of advice would you be giving them?
Work on the script way better than I did. And there's one thing. If let's say, because I haven't been on a movie set since last December because lockdown and Corona and stuff. So, and I'm pretty sure the first take when I'm going back to work will be like, wow, look at this. The actor, the actress is doing what I wrote. This is amazing. And this is a great feeling on the first shooting day and the second shooting day, but being way more critical to everything that they are doing. Because I was carried away by so cool. Esther is acting so cool. Thailand is looking so cool that I didn't see the faults I had done earlier. So don't be overcritical to yourself, but be very critical about your book. Test your book way more than I did because it's about script, and the characters. And don't rely too much on the visuals. They will fall in their places if everything else is right.
Okay, sound advice as well. Well, Steffen and Esther, thank you so much for taking the time from your evening over there in Germany on Thursday night. It's been a pleasure talking and getting to know both of you. And again, for folks out there, if you haven't seen Ingenium, you can see it right now. So or watch it tonight when you're off work or what have you, if you're here in the United States. And before we depart, is there anything else that, I don't know, we're in lockdown or you're in with COVID-19 or whatever, but is there anything else that you'd like to let the fans out there know about what might be coming up, some other projects you are kind of sitting on or kind of poking at, or anything else that you'd like to get out there?
Well, Esther, you are...
Yeah, but just German stuff.
Well, actually, TV shows over here, they restarted. So Esther has 2 upcoming roles in German TV.
One crime, yay!
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And for me, the next commercial is coming up, which by these days is like, whoa, finally work again, because after 6-7 months, 8 months without work, it's like, oh, finally we're going back. Back in the day, I would have always thought it's great to have so much time off, but it was too much now. So, and I know at the moment, Germany is going down again, like it's getting worse. And I just hope the US can revert the situation very, very quick, especially California, because I have lots of friends in California and on the West Coast, and I talk to them very often. Well, the East Coast as well. And just no one in the middle. it's on the coast. My friends are on the coast. And I hope you stay healthy and put an alert and everything, and escape the heat as much as possible, because, of course, it doesn't help as well. And fires and everything that's endangering society's regular life at the moment. We hope you get through it, and we hope the movie industry and everyone working it get through it, so we can internationally work on new exciting stuff very soon, all of us.
Yeah, sounds good. I think we all wish for the same thing. So again, thank you for taking the time, and I hope you have a good evening and a good Friday tomorrow. And hopefully we get a chance to talk again about some other projects that come up, down the road in the future.
Hopefully.
All right.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.